Welcome and thanks for attending an overview of the Year 1 Strong Foundation's Grantee Feedback Report. My name is Allison Candy and I am a Senior Research Scientist in the Family Home Visiting section at the Minnesota Department of Health. Because we are presenting from state government, we want to acknowledge the tribal-state relationship and its history. The state of Minnesota is home to 11 federally recognized Indian tribes with elected tribal government officials. The state of Minnesota acknowledges and supports the unique status of the Minnesota tribal nations and their absolute right to existence, self-governance, and self-determination. The United States and the state of Minnesota have a unique relationship with federally recognized Indian tribes, formed by the Constitution of the United States, treaties, statutes, case law, and agreements. The state of Minnesota and the Minnesota tribal governments significantly benefit from working together, learning from one another, and partnering where possible. This partnership, through a government-to-government relationship with the 11 tribal nations of Minnesota, has the potential to effectively address inequities and build trust that will lead to better outcomes for all of Minnesota. Here is a brief overview of what we'll be discussing today. First, we'll start with the background and rationale of the report, along with its general organization. We then go into participant outcome measures related to screening and assessment. Next, we'll describe a few characteristics of who is participating in family home visiting. From there, we'll go through year 1 implementation of the grant work plan activities. To ground this work, let's start by connecting family home visiting to the advancement of health equity. Family home visiting promotes health equity by providing critical supports to families from a wide range of racial, ethnic, economic, and social backgrounds. Family home visiting's emphasis on meeting families where they are, connecting pregnant individuals with appropriate prenatal care, and empowering parents are just a few of the key activities that address the social and economic factors that drive health disparities. Strong Foundations is a 5-year grant that is implemented in 86 counties and 4 tribal nations. It prioritizes evidence-based home visiting to a number of priority populations, including communities experiencing high poverty, high child maltreatment rates, and high rates of infants born with low birth weight, pregnant and parenting teens, including fathers, Black, Indigenous, and families of color living in communities with low access to health care, mental health care, and supportive social opportunities and services, families experiencing homelessness or housing insecurity, those impacted by incarceration or substance abuse, and families residing in rural areas with limited prenatal, postnatal, and pediatric medical services. This report provides a standardized structure to share data with grantees that cross all grantees, regardless of program type, model, implemented, or population served. It gives MDH an opportunity to share the grantees' data back to them in a format where the report's information can guide conversations with grantees, generate strategies to improve implementation, and highlight and elevate best practices that are emerging from sites across the state. The report covers implementation from January 1st through December 31st, 2023, and both grantee and grant reports are now available. The Strong Foundation's Year 1 grant report is posted on the Family Home Visiting Reports website. This year's report includes participant outcomes related to screening and referral, participant characteristics, and program implementation with an emphasis on promoting health equity. The first main section of the report describes outcomes. Screening assessments provide home visitors an opportunity to identify potential problems or conditions early with their clients and intervene accordingly. These assessments are an essential component of family home visiting. For this report, 4 screening and referral measure topics were included: developmental and social emotional development, depression, including perinatal depression screening, intimate partner violence, and tobacco cessation. A note here that tobacco cessation is only included in the broader Strong Foundations report as the sample size was low. The participant sample includes those who have received at least 1 visit during the reporting year, 2023, and received home visiting services that were funded from the Strong Foundations grant. These data only include data from programs and individuals who consented to share their data with MDH. Finally, the data were exported from the MDH data system Ivy in February of 2024. A similar format is used to present each measure. First, there is a brief description of why the screening measure is collected and how early detection or identification supports caregivers and/or children. The bullets in the green box highlight the direct ways in which home visitors help support families by using the screening information. The next section provides more of a technical description of how the measure was created and who was included for each count or percent. Also provided are appendix links and additional information that describe contextual factors or additional details as needed. Finally, the table includes counts and averages for both the individual grantee and all Strong Foundation grantees for reference. The percents in this table build upon one another. So, for example, 64% of the caregivers received a depression screening for ABC Grantee. Of those that were screened, 29% of those caregivers had a concern identified. Of those with an identified concern, 37% received a referral, and then finally, of those who received a referral, 40% received services. In the grantee report, we also share information about who is participating in family home visiting. We use primary caregivers and target children who received at least one home visit in 2023. Again, they received home visiting services that were served whole or in part by the Strong Foundations grant. Like the outcome measures, the data set only includes participants and programs who consented to share their data with MDH, and these data were exported in February of 2024. For each measure, full counts and percentages can be found in the appendix. For both caregivers and children, a number of demographic characteristics are presented in the grantee feedback report. Ethnicity, race, and age are presented for both caregiver and child. Employment, education attainment, and insurance status are described for caregivers. The languages spoken in the target children's homes are also provided. A number of other risk factors associated with poorer health outcomes are also presented, including families who report being low income, pregnancy at a young age, those with food insecurity or have experienced homelessness, and those in a household with a child who has developmental delays or disabilities. Also included are those with a history of child abuse or neglect or interactions with child welfare services, and those who have experienced substance abuse or incarceration. Next, I'll hand it over to my colleague, Cora.
Thank you, Allison. My name is Cora Vavra, and I'm one of the practice consultants in the Family Home Visiting section at the Minnesota Department of Health. We will be moving into Section 3 of the Grantee Feedback Report, which is focused on grant implementation. The grant implementation section describes the implementation of key grantee activities. These activities mostly follow the Strong Foundations work plan and grantee requirements from the Strong Foundations grant agreement. This section is similar to the mid-year grantee feedback report, which was released in October 2023. Data in this section was gathered from various sources, including data from Ivy, as well as data from quarterly reports and progress monitoring reports submitted by grantees. For grantees who don't submit individual level data to MDH, select data from the Family Spirit QAR are used. As mentioned, the implementation portion of the grantee feedback report generally follows the Strong Foundations work plan and Strong Foundations progress monitoring report. Within broader sections, there are multiple implementation activities. For example, under the Increased Access section, which is short for Increased Access to Evidence-Based Home Visiting Services, there are 4 key home visiting activities: referral, recruitment, and enrollment, prenatal enrollment, target caseload, and advancing health equity. For each implementation activity, there is one or more measures that describes its implementation in 2023. Some of the data present a year's worth of data either monthly or across quarters. For example, a number of the data quality indicators show 12 months of data, where some measures, like target caseload, use the values shared in the quarterly data collection. For grantees with multiple providers, provider-level data is displayed for prenatal recruitment and a few of the data quality measures. There are also direct quotes from Strong Foundation grantees embedded throughout the report. These quotes highlight specific strategies or effectively communicate an essential element of family home visiting. Finally, several of the implementation activities include a summary of responses that grantees provided in the 2023 year-end progress monitoring report. Next, we will walk through the process we use to make sense of a wealth of information that was shared from Strong Foundations grantees. A small group of grant managers, practice consultants, and evaluation staff in the Family Home Visiting section at MDH met to synthesize grantees' responses for each activity topic. Due to the sheer amount of information that was shared with us, we sampled roughly 50% of all Strong Foundations grantees' responses. Using Microsoft Whiteboard, the responses were pasted into notes or stickies. From there, MDH staff moved them into categories based on common ideas or strategies that were shared. For each open-ended prompt, between 4 to 6 themes emerge from the data. We summarize the themes and then cross-check the rest of the grantees' responses to see if we missed anything. Direct quotes from Strong Foundation's grantees were then used to illustrate each theme. In the end, 12 activity summaries were created and included in the grantee feedback report. The final part of the grantee feedback report is the grant agreement assessment. In the progress monitoring report, each Strong Foundations grantee shared their ease in implementing key grant requirements that are outlined in Exhibit A of the grant agreement. We hope and anticipate that these key grant requirements will be increasingly easier to implement as we all progress through the 5-year grant. This information was collected in the first mid-year report to create a baseline understanding of where grantees are. Moving forward, this information will be collected annually. Here is a visual of what the first 2 time points look like. The black dots denote how an individual grantee reported their ease of implementation. Again, we hope that we'll see that grantee report that these requirements become easier to implement, meaning the charts will have less white and more darker shades of blue. We also look at these charts for individual grantees when planning for and providing technical assistance. MDH can also look at these to identify system-level needs and opportunities for technical assistance. Thank you for your time today. If you have any questions about your report, including data, or if you have general questions about how the report was constructed, please contact the evaluation team at health.fhvdata@state.mn.us. For other questions, please reach out to your practice consultant and grant manager. Thanks again, and have a great day.